It was around like month 3. I was just so discouraged. Nothing is working. I took a pregnancy test and the second line came up and I was like,
have you ever been told that you have unexplained infertility and that the only option for you is IVF, even sperm or egg donation? The same thing happened to Bradleigh, a member of my Hope Fertility coaching program. She tried for 4 years and felt like she was doing absolutely everything that she could be doing, but was not ready to quit. She did not want to give up. I understand how overwhelming and discouraging that can feel because I've seen it with so many women that I've worked with in my coaching program. But let me tell you something. Absolutely, there are other options. Today, I'm going to share exactly how I helped her get pregnant naturally, including real, actionable steps that you can take to optimize your fertility. We're going to review her case so that you can learn from her and start applying what we did to help her get pregnant so that you could do the same thing. In case you're new here, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, also known as the fertility expert. For over 20 years, I've been helping women who've been struggling with low AMH, diminished ovarian reserve, and other complex fertility challenges to achieve their dreams of becoming moms, mothers, just like Bradleigh. And I should mention before we get started, if you've been trying to get pregnant without success, I want to personally invite you to book a complimentary fertility consultation with my team. On this call, we'll take a deep dive into your unique fertility journey, uncover potential roadblocks, and map out a clear, personalized roadmap to help you optimize your fertility naturally. I'm gonna leave that link in the description below for you to use. All right, let's jump in. All right, so as we start to hear from Bradleigh, I want you all to know that after we hear her story and her share her words, and it's a beautiful story that I'm excited for all of you to hear, but afterwards, I'm gonna comment on some key points that I wanna make sure that I highlight for all of you, because I think these are things that we need to extract from what she has said that we can start to incorporate. You all can start to incorporate in your day-to-day life and how you approach your fertility. So make sure you stick around till the end to hear all of that. All right, now let's hear from her.
so my husband and I have been married almost 8 years. And we've always wanted kids. We've always loved the idea of kids, always wanted kids. And we started just kind of like casually trying, we weren't like crazy serious about it. But we really hadn't been careful the whole time we were married. And when we started trying, we were about like 4 years into marriage. And we started trying, and I immediately was kind of like, I feel like something's off, because now like we're intentionally trying and we haven't been careful at all up till this point, and now we're intentionally trying and it's not happening. And I immediately kind of just like had a check in my spirit. I'm like, I think this is going to be difficult for us. But I still was like, it takes a while, and this is the first time we've intentionally tried. So we just kept trying, and like months just went on, months turned to years, and I don't remember how far into it. Must have been like 2 years into it where I had always been in contact with my OBGYN about it. I had always like been like, I think we're struggling with infertility. Like she ran some like just like the minimum hormone testing you could do. It was identified that my testosterone was like a little bit higher, but she offered to put me on Clomid and Femara, stuff like that. But I wasn't ready to go on those things because like I knew my body was still working. Like I was testing my ovulation. I knew I was ovulating. Ooh. I knew all that was working. I was like, it doesn't make sense to like go on this and mess around with ovulation when I know that's working. Like something else is off.
So I think it's important right now that I make a couple of comments. One is, as she said in the beginning, she checked in with herself to see where she was at, and she knew that this could be a difficult journey, right? And then she says, well, she went to her OB and the only thing that she really offered her was Clomid and Femara, which those are going to help her ovulate, but logically, she already knew that she was ovulating, and she knew that she was ovulating. And so why would those hormones and medications really be necessary right now? So it's great that she was so self-aware of all of those things, because so often we ignore our body talking to us. We have an intuition, we have a gut feeling, and often we ignore it. And it's so important that we listen to it. It's often telling us that we shouldn't be going down a certain path, or often telling us that we need to be looking elsewhere, whatever that might be. She listened, and I think that was the first major win for her, and the first step in the right direction to get her long-term results. I also want to highlight how cute it is that she's got her newborn right next to her, and you hear her in the background, and she's checking in with her on a regular basis. I just think it's so sweet to watch at the same time as we hear her story.
So I held off on that, and I went to like a naturopathic person, and she was really helpful. My gut has always been kind of off. I've had like some issues for as long as I can remember, and so she wanted to really focus on that. Like, let's get this in order. A couple different people thought maybe I had PCOS because I had the elevated testosterone. So I did everything that person recommended. I started eating paleo. I switched up all my stomach stuff, went on a bunch of like supplements to help address like my gut issues, got that really improved. So did all of that. Still didn't get pregnant, but I do think that laid a good foundation. I don't want to say that didn't play a part. I think it was really good work that I was doing. But I think it just took a little bit longer. So I had done that for several months, and then I had always watched Dr. Sklar's videos. Like, I love to research things, and I wasn't getting plenty of answers like at my OBGYN. And I knew, there's my baby. So I knew that I needed to do like more than what was just recommended. And I had already spent a good amount of money on naturopathic stuff. I had gone to OBGYN, and I was like, you know what? I don't know how much this is going to be, but I'm going to do it because I really like the way that he approaches this, and I like that he doesn't believe in unexplained infertility. Like, I really felt like there was kind of an advocate in him to some extent. Like, I felt like his heart was very much to advocate for people who had unexplained infertility, and he wasn't satisfied with taking like, this is unexplained as an answer. And I liked that he would do digging, because I felt like, apart from the naturopathic person, I felt like no one was doing that. I was just getting like pushed off.
So she's correct in so many places, but I'm going to backtrack just a moment to highlight one specific thing, is where she had done some work already with her naturopath to support her gut. One of the key things that I do with, I can't say all, but many, if not most, of the couples who need support and join my Hope Fertility Coaching Program is we actually start with supporting digestive health and gut health, resetting their digestive system, because it's such a crucial part to improving overall health and fertility. And so she already had done that, but she also recognized, because she checks in with herself regularly, that she needed something more, that kind of like it got capped out, because whether the elevated androgens were being ignored or the digging kind of had stopped by the naturopath and they had exhausted their kind of capacity, she knew that she needed more. The other thing that I love of what she said is that she viewed me as an advocate. So I view myself, for all of you, as your fertility coach. And part of being a fertility coach is being your advocate, is being there to support you on your journey and help you know what your next steps are and how you need to advocate for yourself. And so she picked that up, and that is something that I do with all the members as we talk and navigate and make decisions together. I am supporting you on how you could be your best advocate, because that is one of the most important things that we all need to do for ourselves in our life and on our fertility journey. All right, let's keep hearing from her.
When I really felt like I had a chance for it, I just needed like the right person to help me figure out why this wasn't working. So I met with Dr. Sklar's other person, Lanika, I set up, I think it was at that time, and it's called the Hope consultation or something.
Yeah, I want to just chime in real quick, and we'll hear back from her in just a second. I have a team that supports me to support all of you. And Lonika is part of my team and helps us kind of take in an assessment for some of the members so that we can gather all that information and come up with next steps and a plan forward. So that's who she's referring to.
And I did that with her and my husband. And I had done all the lab work that they had like asked beforehand. And I remember doing the lab work, and I went to my primary care. I was like, who can I get to do this lab work for me? And she really kind of pushed back on it. She's like, insurance isn't going to pay for this. Like, this is really extensive lab work. And I was kind of like, I do not care about what insurance will pay for at this point. I pushed and I did all the lab work, and then I met with Lonika.
So I love that she also advocated for herself for her lab work, because so often the decisions that are made at your doctor's office about lab work and next steps are actually dictated by either what they think is necessary or about what insurance is going to approve and think is necessary. So I find it amazing that she advocated for herself in this situation, and I wish more of us did the same thing.
And she was really helpful, and I feel like just meeting with someone like that approaches it the way they do was immediately just like giving hope, because like her on the other end of the Zoom call wasn't like, man, like you're probably never going to get pregnant at this point, or like she was just like, okay, we can do this. And she was full of hope. And I mean, up until that point, I really hadn't met anybody that was full of hope for us other than that, like the naturopathic person I had seen. Just kind of like, it's unexplained. People had mentioned adoption, they mentioned egg donors, and people in my family were kind of like, well, have you thought about adoption? And like, adoption isn't bad, but like I wanted to figure out what was going on. So I met with her.
No issue whatsoever with adoption, egg donation, sperm donation, surrogacy, all of that. There is a place for all of those things. And I've seen lots of success with couples who have had to go in any of those and all of those avenues. It's totally fine. But I think it's important that we're not jumping the gun prematurely. That we know that when we're making those decisions, that those are 100% necessary for us, and not just being done because the person you're speaking to just doesn't know what to do next. And they don't really have any other option but to say, oh, go do IVF or go do donor or whatever it might be. No issue with any of those things, but I want to make sure that we know why you're doing any of those avenues, any of those treatments, and making sure that they're appropriate for you based on your history. All right, more from Bradleigh.
Couple different things like potential PCOS. Like my blood sugar has always been kind of wonky, so she targeted that. So I remember she gave me like a massive treatment plan,
massive,
with like, it had lifestyle changes that I could do, there were supplements, a bunch of different things, and they had always said like, it takes, like, if this is going to work, like you probably need to give it up to 3 months. You need to give it like up to 3 months to like figure out. They checked my vitamin D level, like they did a bunch of stuff. So they got that up. It was lower, and they increased it a bunch. So I think around month 3, I was just like, at this point, I just spent so much, like, I mean, we just spent like a bunch of cash on stuff. Like everything we'd done at this point was out of pocket. Like all the supplements, all the naturopathic stuff, all the labs. And it was around like month 3, I was just so discouraged. I was like, this, like, nothing is working. And I had, after I'd gone to see Dr. Sklar and Lonika, I, like, around month 3 or 2, I was just like, gosh, nothing works. I just can't do this anymore. So I went to like an actual, like, reproductive endocrinologist,
an IVF doctor,
and OBGYN person that they specialize in like IVF and stuff. So I met with her. I did like 2 consultations with her, and she told me, yeah, you're pretty much never going to get pregnant naturally based on all of these numbers. My husband's numbers had came back, and it really wasn't looking good at all. And Lanika had recommended that he be on something, and he was also on that.
So they were told, they don't know why, they were told that because of her condition and her husband's situation, which, by the way, we support both partners in the couple, in the relationship, in our program. So we assess both male and female, and we come up with a plan if it's necessary for everybody based on the issues that they have. So we were supporting both her and her husband. But based on that, the IVF doctor just said, you need to do IVF or you're not going to get pregnant. There's no way that's going to happen. Those were her words to Bradleigh and her husband based on their situation. And by the way, I should also mention, it's not uncommon for a situation like this where she's been trying for 2 months or 3 months with us, although it's been years already, and you just get discouraged. And so you say, well, what else can be done? So that's not uncommon either to see, okay? But just because she was told that it wasn't gonna happen doesn't make it real, doesn't mean that it's not gonna happen.
Oh, good. And she talked about like sperm donation, not egg donation, sperm donation. And I was just like, it was just really, really depressing.
Of course it would be depressing.
News. So I was like, you know what? And she told us like there really wasn't much chance of even IUI working. But she was like, you can try it if you want. These numbers just don't look good for that. And so I was like, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. Like, we're not about to do IVF, and I do not want to do sperm donation right now.
I do also recommend for everybody, assuming your fallopian tubes are open and that it makes sense with your condition, that instead of just jumping straight to IVF, that you do jump to, or you move to IUI first, because it's a good stepping stone. It tells you a lot about how your body's going to respond to the hormones. It also tells the fertility doctor a lot about your situation so that they know how to manage medication, and it can be successful too. So I do recommend that as a bridge before IVF.
I kind of want my baby to look like my husband, please. So we were going to do IUI. I had the prescriptions filled for that. I had them like in my hand, and I was ready to take those. I was just kind of waiting on my cycle to start, and then I was gonna do all that. And I was journaling about like that process, and I was just like, this feels really weird. Like, I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to just put like all my eggs in this basket. Like, I know what this feels like, and I really don't want to do that. And we had just prayed like so much throughout this journey too, and I was just like kind of talking to the Lord about it, all of it. And I was like, I don't want to get my hopes up. And I felt like the Lord was like, you can get your hopes up. Like, and it was just a really interesting thing. And I was like, you can trust me. You can get your hopes up. And, you know, if it falls through, you can trust me with that too. And so it was kind of like this leap of faith where I was just like, okay, I'm going to believe that this is possible. And I'm going to like let myself get my hopes up. And if they come crashing down, like, I know the Lord's big enough to take care of me in that. And so
beautiful thing about those thoughts, those words, is it gave her hope again in herself. So her prayer, her spirituality gave her belief that it was possible, gave her belief to believe that she could do it, that her body was capable of doing that. Okay? And there is something really valuable in that. It also gave her the strength to understand that, hey, I'll get through this. It's okay. I'll be all right either way. And I am telling you from working with couples for 22 years that those of you who have some sort of spiritual practice and can connect with that practice, go through these challenges in life and through the fertility challenge much easier, have higher success rates, and get to the other side of this just with more resolve, more resilience, more strength, more compassion. So I do think that's super valuable that she was able to connect with that. And it's something that I strive for with all the couples that I support.
I had journaled like that day, and I was like 3 days late for my period, and I was like, you know, I was really frustrated. I was like, this is so stupid. I was like, every time we're about to do something, this is late, and it's a big tease to me, and it always ends in disappointment. So I was like, you know, I'll just take a pregnancy test. This is stupid. And we had, I guess at that point, been trying for like 3 to 4 years actively. And I took a pregnancy test, and second line came up, and I was like, nah, that's not real. Nope. And so I did it again. It was exactly 3 months after we had seen Lanika. And yeah, that's how we got pregnant. It's such a small investment when you think of like the potential like payoff. It's a small investment, and you get like the best gift in the world, potentially, or you get a fighting chance at it. Like you get someone that will advocate for you and help you figure out stuff that literally almost no one else will. Like OBGYNs, like I think I would encourage people, like you don't have to settle for like your OBGYN just telling you like you don't have any options, or you don't have to settle for someone just saying like IVF is your only option. Like you have to spend $25,000 and that's it. It's worth it to just like investigate a little bit more, like take the supplements are worth it. Like it's all, I mean, for me, I just feel like it's worth it. I also like especially feel like it's worth it for people who, I don't know, who have just been through like so much heartbreak. Like it breaks my heart like to see people like go through like miscarriage after miscarriage, and like their OBGYNs like really not doing anything for them, not like trying anything else.
Look, the reality is that if you only have training in a certain area, if you only have a certain perspective on what can be done, then those are the only options that are going to be offered to you. She understood that. Bradleigh understood that there was only so much her OB would do, and that there was only so much that her IVF doctor could offer her. But there is more if you look for it. There are other opportunities if you look for it. And there are chances for different results if you're open to those different perspectives and avenues, if you're willing to put in the time like she was. And so I want you all to understand that there is and are other options.
So I would just say like, it's worth it, like to just take that leap. If like a little baby is on the other end of it potentially, like if it can get you like a step closer, or if it can help you conceive like it has so many, like to me it's worth it. It's worth the cash. My husband and I do not make a lot of money, but we've always kind of been for this, like we've been willing to like put a little bit out there to see what we can do naturally before we go drop 20 grand on IVF.
Bradleigh shared such a beautiful story, so many nuggets and important, valuable information that she shared there for all of you to take away. But I want to highlight some key things. You know, the first of which is there's a problem when we are diagnosed with unexplained infertility. My belief and what I've seen over the last 22 years and what I've seen repeatedly with the members of my coaching program, that there are always answers. But because of the way our medical system is designed with all these specialties, which is awesome and amazing, but because of the way they're designed, there's a lot of walls in between that, and our body is not made up with these walls. Everything's connected. And so we have to understand that issues in one system or in one thing are going to impact another over time. And so it's important, and I believe that we just need to dig a little bit deeper to find the root cause. So what we did with Bradleigh was that we looked a little bit deeper to understand what was going on actually with her hormones and how we could improve those hormones and improve egg quality. So we focused on those two things based on the results, the hormone test that she came back with. We also understood, both with our investigation and her previous history, was that gut health was an important piece for her, and that we still needed to support that. Even though she had done it before, there still needed to be some additional support to address her gut health and also reduce inflammation. And those were some key things that we needed to address for her in addition, which we did both with diet recommendations and some additional supplements as part of her customized, unique, individualized supplement plan and her entire plan. We also recognized that there were some additional hidden stressors that were impacting multiple systems. They were impacting her stress levels, impacting her thyroid function, impacting her blood sugar, and these were all quietly impacting her fertility struggles. And so we had to regulate all of that. And that doesn't regulate in just one fell swoop. By the way, this is something that we routinely do. It's not something that we just uniquely did for her. We do this with all of the members of our coaching program. So if you decide to work with us, you get the same level of support. All right, so by the way, if you want that information, it is in the link below. So in the description below, you can click on that link to apply to work with me and my team. But last but not least, one of the most important things we did for her was, based on all the results that we found and doing a comprehensive assessment of her health, we created a personalized plan for her, which included a lot of lifestyle changes that needed to be overhauled, so to speak, to improve her reproductive health and increase her chances to conception. You know, the big takeaway that we all need to take away from her message is that unexplained infertility can absolutely feel like an overwhelming diagnosis, but it's not or doesn't have to be the end of your fertility journey. As I've shared today, there are real actionable steps that you can take to support your overall health, balance your hormones, and create the best possible environment for conception. And you're not alone in this. There is hope for you on your journey. If you found this video helpful and are curious about how I can support you on your fertility journey, I'd love to invite you to a personalized fertility assessment with my team. Together, we'll dive into your specific challenges, uncover what's holding you back from getting pregnant, and map out a clear and natural plan to improve your fertility. This is not just a quick, short conversation. It's a real opportunity to get expert guidance and see if our Hope Fertility Program is the right step for you. So click on the link below to book your free call today. And please don't give up on your journey. Apply today. Let us work together to create a fertility plan that works for you. I've helped so many women with unexplained infertility achieve their dreams of motherhood, and I'd love to help you as well. So until the next video, stay fertile.